All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is August 1st. Happy Thursday to everyone out there. We got a new month and just a 5-game MLB slate to dive into on today, Thursday. Again, August 1st, and I mentioned new month here, but like we always do, guys, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like within the games as well. But as always, keep an eye on the pinned comment. If you do want to fade me and do the opposite of what I say, all my plays will be listed out in the pinned comment. In terms of yesterday, we end July nicely with a nice 5-1 night, 2+ money cashes in there as well. I guess we judged that Brian Bayo spot pretty well. The Red Sox did have to go to extras to cash it, but they did. In the Orioles' first 5-run line, as well as the Braves-Brewers' first 5 under, and the Dodgers-Padres Nerfy cashes as well. So you know what? We shall take that. We end July pretty damn nicely. In terms of our season in July recap there, we're up nearly 35 units on the season, which is like pretty much what we were up all MLB season last year. So there's probably another shoe to drop at some point, but I'm not saying anything. We had a really good July, picking up 12.5 units throughout the month. A lot of half-unit plays too. Like if you look at it, we were 73 and 47, so we cooked July. 61% of our plays were correct. But like I said, a lot of half-unit plays coming out of the All-Star break, going into the All-Star break, that type of thing. So I'm thrilled with it. I'm waiting for the next shoe to drop because again, nearly 34.5 units up on the season. That was our entire MLB season last year, so something might be coming down the road, but nonetheless, let's cross that bridge when we get there. In terms of our ride of the day, we had Danny coming in with another 3-leg parlay. This one does not cash, but I'm not even going to drop the womp womp. Usually we do for the ride of the day, but Danny cashed a plus 425 parlay for us 2 days ago. So you know what? We'll say thank you for that one, and it's okay that this one does not hit. But if you guys want to get involved and you don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. All you have to use is that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me your favorite play of the day, and then I'll look through the comments. Whichever comment has the most likes, so yes, you guys have a say in it as well. Whichever comment has the most likes, I'll be jumping on board with and riding with as well, and then you get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. So make sure to get your hashtag ride of the day's comments in there, but also go through and look at spots you think are good plays or good calls from others in the comments and hit the like button on those comments. But yeah, hit the like button on this video as well. Subscribe if you are new. Let's get rocking and rolling here. Again, a short slate, so let's jump right into it. We're starting off with Cleveland taking on Baltimore. Right now, the starting pitchers listed are Ben Lively for Cleveland, going up against Trevor Rogers, making his Baltimore debut. Neither one of these guys is an absolute stud muffin, right? Now, I've talked highly of Lively. I've talked lowly of Lively. I'm starting to feel like he might just be kind of right in the middle, at least when it comes to my perception of him. But he's in the middle of a good streak right now. 3 straight starts of 2 earned runs or less. Baltimore's obviously the better offense, but can we really trust Trevor Rogers? Like, you might as well call him Trevor Run Earner. I don't understand the price here. It's a pick 'em. Baltimore's offense clearly better, but I think you have a far better pitcher on the mound for Cleveland. And like I said, neither one of these guys are absolute studs, so that's saying a lot when I say far better pitcher. I think there's a chance that I could take a peek here at Cleveland on the money line, but again, Baltimore's offense definitely is scary. They're definitely starting to cook as well to some degree here. You know, when they kind of went on their little skid, well, last 4 games here, 11, 4, 6, and 10 runs scored. So that could keep us off of it, but there's no way in hell I'm backing Trevor Rogers. I don't care if he has the best offense in the world behind him. I want to see him in a new uniform and pitching well before I ever consider backing him. So hopefully that makes sense there. In terms of what we have from a total, I don't mind taking a peek at the over. Like, even if the Orioles do go off and everything I just said, happens or is incorrect and all that, I still like there to be runs here. Trevor Rogers letting up a bunch from the Guardians. Lively maybe gets hit up by the Orioles. Give me the over in this spot. But I will say this, guys. 5-game slate. We had a great July. We're having a great season. These are the types of spots where you don't need to force anything. Unless I feel 110% confident in something, there's no need to force something, especially if it's not like a plus money play. Sometimes you could take a little flyer on a plus money because it might have the payout, right? But this is the type of spot where I'm giving you my lean on the total, giving my lean on the money line. Not exactly sure as of right now what the chances are either of those become final plays. All right, next up we have Detroit taking on Kansas City. Kiter Montero on the mound for Detroit, going up against who is listed to be Seth Lugo here, so I expect him to start. That is a huge factor in this play here. The way that I'd play this is probably taking a peek at Kansas City on the first 5 run line. This is a team that is, their offense is cooking right now. They are doing really, really well. Detroit, middle of the road. They're not doing all that poorly, but Montero's going to throw a ton of fastballs and sliders. In fact, let me jump into the dashboard and show you. If you guys want access to this dashboard, $2.99 per month. That is it. It's by becoming a channel member here on YouTube. You also get a bunch of other channel member only videos like how to build your own sports model and that type of thing. So consider becoming a channel member. There'll be a link in the description, in the pinned comment, and as well as a big, nice join button next to the subscribe button, I believe, on the YouTube platform. So become a channel member. You get a link to this every single day. But what I like to see here is Kiter Montero, right? Obviously, he's not a very good pitcher. What this dashboard does, it goes through each and every game and breaks down the game from a pitcher and batting perspective as well as bullpen. But not a very good pitcher, especially at home. But I all of a sudden or immediately jumped to fastball and slider and looked at those 2 main pitches. That's making up the majority of his pitch mix. Well, Kansas City over here, 7th in terms of runs above average against the fastball, and then 2nd against the slider. So the 2 pitches Montero's going to throw their way, they should be able to hit. Against righties last 30 days, they're looking pretty damn good as well, especially from an average perspective. Their power numbers are a little bit lacking, but still top 10, top half of the league. So I look at this as a spot to say Kansas City could get to Montero pretty early and often. Lugo on the mound, I trust him as well, even though he's had a couple spots where he hasn't looked as great as of late as he was like in the early beginning of the season. But still, give me Kansas City here on the first 5 run line. If you want to go first 5 money line, I'm not going to hate on you for it. You are going to be paying a lot of juice. It's like minus 150 right now. First 5 run line, though, is minus 110 over on FanDuel. So that's where I immediately go. I also don't mind taking a consideration or considering Kansas City's team total over in the first 5, which is 2.5, but for plus 115. That could be a consideration there as well, or team total over altogether. Now, I wouldn't play all of these, okay? But team total, I think it's over 4.5, like minus 111 right now on FanDuel. Wouldn't play all of these, but they're all somewhat correlated, right? In a way, I'm saying I trust Kansas City a lot more than I do Detroit in this spot. And that makes sense. They're coming off a really good series, and Detroit has lost 7 of their last 10 games. So they're not in the best spot. They're sellers at the deadline. Give me Kansas City here in this spot. In terms of a total, I will still lean slightly towards the over for the full game, but like I said, much, much more comfortable considering Kansas City in terms of their team total than the full game total, because I don't mind if Seth Lugo goes out there and absolutely shuts down this Tigers team. He's been pretty good against the Tigers that he's faced in the past year. Now, this is not against the Tigers in general. It's against the guys that are on the roster. 22 plate appearances against, so like I said, against the guys he's seen. Smallish sample size, but a 32% K rate. That's pretty damn good. An average against of 211, a WOBA against of 275, an expected batting average against 219, and then an expected WOBA of 277. So against those 22 plate appearances against the guys on this team, he's looked pretty good. So I expect Lugo to have a decent game here. All right, next up, we're looking at the Braves taking on Miami. I know we only have 5 games on the slate, but I really don't like the spot for the pricing here. Overall, I'd actually lean towards Miami in terms of like a flyer at plus 172, but it goes directly against what I said earlier as to not wanting to just, take these chances. Now, it is plus money. I did mention that, right? But 5 game slate, do we need to be forcing a Miami play? And I'm only forcing a Miami play because I think the Braves are way overpriced here. Are they playing better? Yes, they've won 4 of their last 5. I'll give them credit there. But Charlie Morton's on the mound. I really don't trust him, and this offense has not been, tremendous. Like, they're winning games by scoring 4 runs or 3 runs, and I do have a couple high-scoring run games in there, but what I'm saying, on average, like, they just started to actually score some runs. Maybe their offense is turning a corner, and everything I'm saying is kaput and doesn't make sense, right? But prior to that Milwaukee series, and even, I guess, the Mets series, they were scoring, like, 2-3 runs a game. Miami's coming in, winning some baseball games. 6 of the last 10 they've won, and they've had some offensive output as well. So it's like minus 198, nearly minus 200 for Atlanta is just a no-go for me. Whether or not I think that they have the better pitcher, which they do, even though Max Meyer doesn't have the most big leagues this season, experience. Apparently they've given him sort of the reins. He started 3 times. They sent him down. He came back up. He's pitched meh, right? But apparently, after the deadline, they said, you're here, no limit, go do your thing, pitch. So maybe that gives him a little bit of confidence, right? This is his second season? Yeah, second season, so maybe he has a little bit of confidence, but I can't get behind that price of Atlanta. So by default, I lean towards Miami, but again, like, now it's a 5 game slate, and I'm choosing to bet Miami. sound the psycho alert alarm for that. I don't know if that one becomes a final play, but I just can't get behind that Atlanta price. Even Atlanta on the first 5 run line, or even full game run line, like those odds just do not stick out to me. For them to be even odds for -1.5 in a spot in which I don't necessarily think they score a bunch of runs, kind of scares me. Which kind of tips my hand at what I like for a total here. I don't mind taking a peek at the under. I think Atlanta's offense is due for a little regression, again, unless they're about to hit the stride that we've been waiting on all season, which I feel like I've said that 3 times and they haven't hit the stride, so I expect them for a little bit of regression here. And then the Marlins, like, I don't think that they're going to go out there and score a boatload of runs, so this could easily be a 5-4 game at maximum, and we'd have push potential there. So I like this to be like a 4-3 type of a game, maybe a win for Miami, but again, not forcing anything. And if it's your first time watching and stuff and you're like, oh, you're kind of on the fence about all this, it's like, yeah, we're going to have games that we don't love. I talk about this all the time, that a lot of people in the comments will be like, give me a play. Like, I don't like that you're indifferent. It's like, this is a 5-game slate. There's not many out there. Like, I can't force myself to love the spots on the board. We will have some plays today, but just not as many as normal. You know what I mean? Usually we're throwing out 4, 5, 6 plays. Who knows what we'll come up with today? Because unless something jumps out and is, like I said, 110% confidence in my brain, I don't know if we end up rolling with it. We had a great July. This is a weird slate. I don't want to start August off on the crapper, you know what I mean? Now, this should be a good game, and I think there's a path for both sides, okay? So in terms of what I'm liking here, I don't mind taking a peek at, I guess, just getting some decent odds for St. Louis. Now, Shota Imanaga on the mound for the Cubs. They're at home. I could totally see why someone would like that, right? But Sonny Gray's in the bump for the Cards, and I think that that's clearly a spot in which you can trust him or trust them, and they're coming off a spot in which he didn't exactly have the best numbers. And actually, now that I'm even refreshing, now I'm seeing some Kyle Gibson. So everything I'm saying is considering Sonny Gray, okay? If it's Kyle Gibson, probably off of this. So hopefully this import is correct here. Let me check real quick. Yeah, I'm even seeing some player props for Sonny Gray, so hopefully that is the case, okay? But Sonny Gray here in a spot in which you're getting plus money, I really don't mind the spot for him whatsoever. Going up against the Cubs, I kind of like that as well. I think that he can kind of shut them down in terms of him being a righty. The Cubs last 30 days against righties, 20th in average, 21st in WRC+, 26th in on-base percentage, 20th, 18th, and 19th in OPS, ISO, and slugging. And then you turn to St. Louis. Against lefties, Shota Imanaga being a lefty, last 30 days, 11th in average, K rate, their top 10 team and not striking out. On base percentage 13th. Like, there is some spots here that look favorable for St. Louis. I will say they don't have the power numbers against the lefties, and Shota Imanaga is a tough pitcher to even get the power off against in general. He has 20 plate appearances against current guys on this team, and his numbers are fantastic. 20 plate appearances against, expected batting average against of 194, expected WOBA of 220. So if this wasn't a plus number in front of the Cardinals here, I'd probably consider the Cubs. So like I said, to start it off, there's definitely a path to getting to both sides here, but for me, that plus money looks pretty good. This is a 50-50 spot in my brain. If you're getting better than 50-50 odds in terms of sports books, which would normally be like that -110 range, I think that you might as well take it. In terms of the total, 7.5 seems a little bit too low to me. I think one of these pitchers has an off-ish game. Like, I just listed why the Cardinals could, to some degree, get to Imanaga, so I'm going to lean towards the over 7.5 here in this spot, just hoping that this is the case of, like, 2 really, really, really good pitchers, right? One of them, it doesn't turn into a pitcher's duel. One of them kind of has an off night, per se, so I'm going to lean towards the over in this spot as well. Real quick, one of the points I wanted to make on that game, but just didn't get to it, was the idea that you're getting a really good price because Sonny Gray's good, but he hasn't been good. You know what I mean? Imanaga's been a better pitcher than as of late, so I expect this to be a Sonny Gray bounce back spot, so that was clearly not something mentioned. So before you guys jump in the comments being like, Sonny Gray's good, look at his last few starts, it's like, yes, I give you that 100%. I'm more or less talking in terms of what I expect him to do, which he pitched okay against the Cubs a couple times this season. One of them was really, really good, right? The other one was more recent and meh, but I expect a Sonny Gray bounce back spot. That's part of kind of the consideration here. All right, next up, we got the Angels taking on the Rockies here. On the mound for the Angels, looks like it's going to be Carson Fulmer going against Ryan Feltner. Fulmer's actually looked okay at home. Not the biggest of sample sizes, obviously, but looks okay at home in terms of his numbers here. .73 whip, .1 or actually 130 batting average against, so that looks pretty good. But this Colorado offense against righties last 30 days, these numbers actually kind of surprise me. We jump into what we're looking at from the dashboard perspective. Look at these numbers. Last 30 days against righties, the Colorado Rockies actually looking pretty damn good in terms of greening that out. They're striking out a lot and, not walking a lot, and that's kind of the only thing that's an issue. But in terms of making contact or having, power numbers and whatnot, they don't look all that terrible. They win yesterday 2-1. If Ryan Feltner can just kind of do what he's been doing, which is crazy as is to say, he's been pitching really well, 1.6 ERA in his last 5 games, I don't mind Colorado for plus money here today either. So that's going to be the lean. In terms of the total, I'll still lean towards the over because we had 2-1 yesterday. Still, even though I'm giving Feldner and Fulmer, kind of in specific spots credit, they're still not very good pitchers, and not that either one of these offenses is all that great, but I do think the offenses, could just get going. Like, you look at the Angels, prior to that game, they had 2 games of 8+ runs. You know what I mean? Like, they were scoring. And Colorado also, 2 games prior to scoring 2 runs yesterday, they had scored 4 and 7 runs. So I don't mind the spot for an over here either. I think it's at 9 on some books. I'd much prefer it at 8.5 because 5-4 or 6-3, that type of thing I could easily see. So keep that in mind as well. But yeah, I gave a lot of plus money plays in today's video, which is tough because, like I said, it's either I'm 100% confident or something, which if you are watching at this point in the video, comment 100% down in the comments. Let me know that you made it this far in the video, but it's either that I'm 100 or 110% confident in something, or it's gotta be that sort of, okay, I think the price makes sense and it's worth playing. The worth and the confidence are 2 kind of separate things. Sometimes when they marry, that's amazing, but 2 separate things that on a small slate like today, it's kind of how we gotta roll. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. It's a shorter slate. Obviously, we'll be back with the normal length videos when we have normal length slates, but keep an eye on the pinned comment for all of our final plays. Appreciate everyone that supported and jumped on board during July. We had a great month, and now, you know what, into August, then we got football coming, a big sort of, I guess, month and 2 months, next 2 months or so coming for the channel. Very excited for that. So catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.